Why not fight Tank at 135?
Tank ain't gonna fight him, man. He not gonna fight him.
You gotta realize with Tank, he on that other side where he gonna, act
Take
like
on the cupcakes.
Shady,
Hey,
I know Tank.
It is, man.
I know Tank, Shady.
I know Tank too.
Let him talk. Go ahead.
Hey, I know Tank too, and I know for a fact at the end of the day, like, he is not jumping into no fight with me. Like, that's a whole different type of atmosphere. That's not like fighting. I'm saying. So I'm just saying for a fact.
So what
I
you
know
saying?
he not jumping in the ring with me.
In a recent statement that Gervonta Tank Davis tweeted and deleted, he just proved everything that Shakur Stevenson said about him in the past. He don't got no intentions of getting inside that ring with Shakur, and he flat out planning on ducking it. We're going to talk about what that statement was. I'm going to show y'all what Tank tweeted and deleted. But before we do that, make sure y'all hit my like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed to the channel. Gervonta Davis been getting a pass from a whole lot of people for a long time now. I've been giving Tank passes. I've been on here doing videos saying, you know what? I think it's just Leonard Ellaby and Gervonta Davis's team. If it's up to Tank, he'll fight all of these ninjas. And, I really felt like that. It ain't no way that he grew up the way that he grew up, and he's scared to get in the ring with another man that's in his same weight division at least, right? And I also felt that when it comes to him and Devin Haney, the bottom line is they both want to fight each other, but egos get in the way. It's a weight issue they got to work out. But the people that's around Gervonta Davis didn't want him to fight Devin Haney because they feel more comfortable with him fight a certain style of fighter. And if you know boxing, you know what type of style that is that I'm talking about, that makes him look good, that he can get a spectacular knockout against each time he get in the ring and continue to build his casual fan base. I also felt that Tank would be willing to fight Shakur. Now they're in the same weight division, and they are the two top dogs at 135. I know 1,000% that Shakur wants that fight. Shakur didn't want that fight. In 2024, the time has come for that fight to take place. You got both of my champions in the same division, and I felt that, Tank Davis would go have a fight. If he can't get a fight with Devin Haney, the next in line would for sure be Shakur Stevenson. I felt that ain't no way he gonna duck Shakur when Shakur is best fight in that weight division. Yeah, he probably gonna want to get a fight in before the Shakur fight, and Shakur gonna get a fight in, and both of them put on great performances, and then they can come together and get it popping. And Gervonta Davis would be willing to at least try to prove that he is the best in the division without a shadow of a doubt. And by doing that, you beat another top dog in the division. It's time. He damn near 30 years old, and it's time to put on these fights with the best in his weight division, at least if he not going to go up to the next weight division. So my whole stance was Tank would do all these things, but the only thing in his way is the people around him preaching to him that it ain't time to do that. You ain't got to worry about none of these guys, Gervonta. These guys, let them do what they doing where they at. You going to go ahead and continue to sell out arenas. You going to continue to be the face of boxing. You're the best fighter in the world, Tank. You don't got to fight none of these other guys right now. Those fights will take place. Leonard Ellaby, the Calvin Fords, saying that he needs to fight the Pitbull Cruisers again, Ryu Valenzuelas and all these. So I felt that was the biggest issue. And Tank just needs to step up and say, look, F what y'all talking about. I want to fight the best. Those fighters are considered the best, the Shakur Stevensons, the Devin Haneys, and so on. And that's who I want to fight. But that ain't the case. And Gervonta Davis has proved me wrong, and he exposed himself. I didn't need to do it. Leonard Ellaby didn't need to do it. Floyd Mayweather didn't need to do it. Calvin Ford didn't need to do it. He exposed himself. And like I said, I'm going to show y'all what he said, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, and I show y'all exactly what Tank said in this tweet that he deleted, one thing that we know is Shakur, he been getting dogged out for his last performance. Even though he put on 4 or 5 great performances before that last performance, the main thing that people say is that he fought scary. He ain't let his hands go. He was scared to throw punches against De Los Santos, right? We seen Shakur go out there and beat De Los Santos with one hand. Did he let his hands go? No, he didn't. Was it a boring fight? Yeah, it was a boring fight. But answer this question for me. How come we didn't say nothing when Tank fought Rolly? Yeah, Tank got the knockout. You know, he said it himself. Hey, he just threw a punch and Rolly ran right into it. It kind of surprised him. But before Gervonta Davis threw that punch that Rolly ran right into, you know how many punches Tank threw per round in that fight? 14 punches per round. 22 less punches than his average. And you ask, well, why was Tank fighting so timid? Because Rolly can punch. That's all Rolly can do. But Tank was fighting timid. Tank was fighting on the back foot the whole fight. Tank was holding and complaining to the ref and running, but nobody said nothing about how Tank fought because he got the knockout. See, people forget everything when there's a knockout in the fight, but you didn't hold that against Tank. You didn't talk about how he was running or none of that, right? Threw 14 punches per round. Shakur Stevenson at least threw 17 punches per round against De Los Santos, but he don't have the knockout power that Tank possessed. And we all know that. But all I'm saying is when Tank got in the ring with a puncher, somebody that all they could do was punch, somebody that wasn't half the fighter that Edwin De Los Santos is, he was fighting hella timid and he wasn't letting his hands go neither, but y'all didn't want to talk about that. But things like that is expected in the sport of boxing today because you got fans that most of them don't know shit about boxing and they just Twitter trolls, right? That's what boxing has turned into today, and a whole bunch of man worshiping. And Gervonta Davis is a hell of a fighter, but he have a whole bunch of man worshipers on this side. So of course, fans are gonna use issues like this to go and troll and say that Shakur Stevenson and all these other fighters are trash and Tank Davis is God, Godzilla, Superman, and King Kong all in one. So you expect fans to do silly shit like that and say things like that. But you wouldn't expect Gervonta Davis to use that same scenario to duck up out of a fight, would you? Well, this is what Tank had to say to a fan that said he needs to fight Shakur Stevenson. We gonna read this tweet and then we gonna get into it and I'm gonna give y'all my thoughts on what Tank Davis' response was. So on Twitter or X, whatever y'all want to call it, you see right here, old boy says, the fight to be made in 2024 in the lightweight division should be Gervonta versus Shakur Stevenson. Now, this is a perfect example in this next comment of somebody that's just a fanatic D-rider and they really not a fan of the sport of boxing. They just a D-rider of their favorite fighter. He says Shakur got to prove he's willing to engage with a big puncher first. What? So my man's in the next comment. He says no and gets to laughing at the comment and he says stop protecting Tank. That's all he said. Now, Tank, he comes and he says, shut your B.A. up. You don't know who D you want to ride. That little nigga haven't done ish and did exactly what I said he was going to do when it was time. Now, as soon as Gervonta Davis gets backed up against the wall and fans point out that now that Devin Haney ain't in the division, the fight to be made is Shakur Stevenson and Tank. Tank gets offended. Why does that offend Gervonta Davis? And he immediately hops on Twitter, goes at the fan that made the statement, and starts making an excuse why he shouldn't have to fight Shakur Stevenson. Because that's what that comment exactly was, is him making an excuse why that fight shouldn't happen. He says, oh, he ain't done ish, he ain't done shit. Well, why didn't he hop on nobody's comments when a name like Pitbull come up, or a name like Ryu Valenzuela come up, or a name like George Kambosos come up? He don't jump under the comments and get to making excuses why those fights shouldn't happen. But soon as a top level fighter comes up, Tank Davis or his team is always making excuses. It don't matter if it's Teofimo Lopez. It don't matter if it's Devin Haney, Vasil Lomachenko. Back in the day, Gary Russell was calling Tank out for years and years, but he decides to move Leo Santa Cruz up, somebody that was ducking Gary Russell, and fight Leo Santa Cruz, but wouldn't fight Gary Russell. As soon as it's a top fighter with elite all-around skills, not somebody that's just gonna stand and throw a million punches and stand right in front of you, it's always some sort of excuse, right? Now, I came up with a solution for Tank. Since everybody is talking about Shakur Stevenson's performance, why doesn't Tank go fight Edwin De Los Santos his next fight? Why are they talking about him fighting Raul Valenzuela that got knocked out by De Los Santos? Make it make sense to me. You know why? Because De Los Santos can box and he can punch. And Tank Davis has never been in a ring with a fighter that can do both. And even though I think that Gervonta Davis would eventually catch De Los Santos and knock him out, but there's a chance that De Los Santos can catch Gervonta Davis and knock him out and do it in a different way than anybody else that he's been in the ring with, because he do have all-around skills, and Tank Davis is not taking a chance against nobody that has all-around skills. Only one-dimensional fighters. Matter of fact, Tank is in the ring with the same style fighter each and every time he go out there. Fighters that stand right in front of him. So you got fans that say, oh, Shakur Stevenson needs to prove he can stand in there with somebody that can bang. Well, if Shakur Stevenson can't stand in there with somebody that can bang, won't Tank go in there and knock his ass out then? Should be easy, right? See, the biggest excuse that's always been in boxing with somebody that's getting protected against another fighter that has all-around boxing skills, and I'm not saying Tank don't got boxing skills, but they've been protecting him from a certain type of fighter his whole career. The biggest excuse is to say, oh man, all they gonna do is get in there and run. Y'all don't see this? Tank don't want no smoke with nobody that can box and that have a tremendous skill set, got defense and all of that. Tank don't want to fight those type of fighters. And the people around Tank, they've been knowing that. That's why he ain't never been in the ring with that type of fighter. But his fans and everybody else continue to make excuses for this nigga, but he just exposed himself. Why is he under there getting mad at a fan that says that him and Shakur Stevenson need to fight next? What's the big issue with that? Why is he cussing out a fan that says that? What's the problem? Instead of running to the smoke, Gervonta Davis continuously runs away from the smoke, but it's always a million excuses for him. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure you hit my like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed to the channel. Diego talking that boxing again. I'm gone.
So everybody see. Yeah, I hope you got big lungs if you're rolling with me. I roll quickly, roll many.